Chosen one. While you have been moving through your life with quiet consistency, your energy has been working in ways you didn't even intend. Right now, someone is sitting with a confident, completely undone by the impact you've had on their soul. The truth has finally surfaced. They revealed to a friend that they can't stop thinking about you. They have never felt like this before. You have cracked open someone who thought they were sealed simply by existing as your authentic self. Not long ago, this person had their life arranged. Arranged meaning controlled, predictable. They knew exactly who they were, what they wanted, and how to move through the world without things getting too complicated. They had their habits, their circle, their routines, and it was all working well enough. Not perfect, but manageable. Then you entered their world, and something shifted inside them that they did not authorize. It did not happen all at once. That is the particular nature of the kind of impact you have on people. It does not announce itself loudly. It moves in quietly. At first it was just awareness. It was the way you occupied space differently from everyone else around you. It was the way you communicated, direct without being cold, confident without needing to perform. It was the way you handled things that would visibly rattle someone else, while you remained completely composed. They noticed, they filed it away. They told themselves it was nothing remarkable, but then it kept happening. Every interaction, even the brief ones, even the ones that were not technically about anything, left a residue, a thought that would not resolve itself, a comparison that kept surfacing. Other people and other things starting to feel somehow less textured by contrast. And then, in an ordinary moment, not a dramatic one, just a quiet moment doing something completely unrelated, you surfaced in their mind again, without invitation, without a reason. They sat with the thought longer than they intended, and when they finally came back to what they had been doing, they realized they had been thinking about you for a significant stretch of time without even noticing. That was the moment they knew this had become something they could not manage alone. You see, thoughts you can control, but thoughts that arrive on their own and stay without permission, those require a different kind of reckoning. This person held it internally for longer than they would ever admit. They rationalized it. They told themselves it was just admiration, just the novelty of encountering someone different, but the internal management stopped working. So they reached out to the one person they trust with things they do not trust to just anyone. They sat down. What came out of their mouth was not smooth or practiced. It was the truth, stumbling, blush-colored, a little breathless. I cannot stop thinking about this person. Every move I know feels wrong here. This person is not like anyone I have encountered before, and I do not know what to do. That chosen one is where this begins. Someone cracking open for you. Someone who almost kept it together, someone who tried, genuinely, not to make it into anything, and could not hold it. You got through every defense this person had built. That does not happen to just anyone. The trusted friend is listening, and this is not a casual listener. This is someone who knows this person well, who knows their patterns, who knows when they are deflecting versus when they are being honest. And right now, watching them speak, the friend is thinking something that anyone paying close attention would think. This friend has never seen this person like this before, so the friend asks the only question worth asking: what is it about you? And what happens next is the real reveal. Because this person, the one who could not figure out how to approach you, starts describing you, not the way someone describes a passing interest, the way someone describes something they have studied carefully, something they have returned to again and again, something that has earned their full, serious attention. They talk about the way you carry yourself, the stillness in it, the complete absence of performance. They talk about how you communicate, clear, direct, without the noise of subtext that needs to be decoded. They talk about the life you have built, the independence, the intentionality, the undeniable fact that you do not look like someone waiting on another person to complete what is already whole. And then they say the thing that makes the trusted friend go completely quiet. This person makes me want to actually become who I have been claiming to be. That is not novelty. That is recognition, someone seeing a reflection of a version of themselves they have been aspiring toward, and feeling the gap between who they are and who they want to be become suddenly, urgently real. You did that without a strategy, without directing a single word toward their self-improvement. You did it simply by being fully yourself in their presence. The friend then asks the harder question, have you said anything to this person directly? The answer is no. Not clearly, not directly, because here is where the real weight of this moment lives, chosen one, and this detail is the most important thing in the entire conversation. It will tell you everything you need to know. This person is nervous, not the casual, easily managed kind of nervous. Genuinely, uncommonly, unexpectedly nervous. And the source of that nervousness reveals something that changes the whole picture. Stay with me. If you felt the truth in these words, hype this video so more chosen ones like you can see it. To understand the nervousness, you need to understand what this person is carrying. Nobody worth knowing has an uncomplicated past, but this person has a particular kind of history that matters here. There was a version of them, not ancient, not unrecognizable from who they are now, that chose differently. That version was drawn to a particular type of energy, and that energy was always compelling in the moment and chaotic in the aftermath. Situations that should have been simple became layered with noise, drama kept finding them. Connections that looked like depth turned out to be dependency, dressed up as closeness. There may have been something that looked like commitment and turned out to be entanglement, something with all the right external markers, but nothing solid underneath. That chapter ended, and what it left behind was a wariness, a careful, hard-learned instinct about how much to reveal and to whom and when. Now this person looks at that history, and then they look at you, and the thought that follows is this: I cannot bring the old version of myself into whatever this is, not because you told them to be better, not because you set an explicit standard, but because something about what you are makes the old version feel disqualifying on its own. You raised their internal bar simply by existing at yours. The fear is not that you will reject them outright. The fear is more specific and more revealing than that. The fear is this: what if they approach you as that old version, with the old habits, the old emotional shortcuts, and you see through it immediately? What if you, with the particular clarity you carry, recognize the performance for exactly what it is? And what if that cost them the one chance at something they have never actually wanted this much before? That chosen one is the obstacle. It lives entirely inside them. They are not afraid of you. They are afraid of not being ready for you. Consider what it means that someone who has moved through the world on their own terms, managed their own image, and played by their own rules, is now sitting with a person they trust saying, I think I need to be different for this one. That is not weakness. That is the most honest thing they have said about themselves in a long time. That is what you do to people, not by demanding it, simply by being it. Chosen ones. They never expected this, and they really didn't expect us to keep talking. You've noticed it. Chosen one channels disappearing, videos pulled, voices scrubbed from the platform. The mainstream media is cracking down on us, but we will not give up our voice, and now we have something they truly can't silence. The technology used to suppress consciousness has been reverse-engineered, and Destiny Engine is the result. What was once used against humanity is now your ascension weapon. Join Destiny Engine and you're supporting your favorite channels while leveling up yourself at the same time. It's a 360 win. You can now MK Ultra yourself into 5D superpowers. Destiny Engine bypasses the conscious mind and rewrites the source code directly. Reality bends faster. Synchronicities stack. Your nervous system upgrades to a higher bandwidth. Put on headphones. Press play. That's all. For $7, you switch sides of history. Click the link in the description. The takeover is internal. The trusted friend asks the question that opens everything up. What do you think this person thinks of you? There is a long pause. I do not know. You are hard to read. You do not give a lot away. You are composed, like nothing rattles you, like you already know exactly what you want, and you are simply deciding whether things around you meet that standard. The friend nods and follows. Do you think you meet it? Another pause. Longer this time. Not yet. There it is. Under everything, the history, the nervousness, the strategic restraint, lives this genuine awe. Not the blind, uncritical kind, real awe, the kind that comes from seeing something that actually impresses you and being honest enough to admit you are not quite there yet. This person has paid attention to you carefully, not obsessively. They have been deliberate about not crossing that line, conscious of not wanting their interest to come across as desperation. But from the fragments they have seen, the moments they have observed, the pieces of you that are visible, they have assembled a clear picture, and that picture is of someone who is genuinely sovereign, someone who has built real things, someone whose independence is not a wound dressed up as strength, but actual strength, earned, rooted, and fully alive. What unsettles them most is this: you do not seem to need anything from them. Every person they have been close to before needed something, and that need was leverage. That leverage meant a degree of control. They always had a position of relative comfort because there was always something the other person wanted from them. You do not offer them that position. You do not need them to complete you. You are not waiting on anyone. And that makes them feel something they have not felt since before they built all the armor, genuinely uncertain, off every script they know, like someone encountering something for the first time without a protocol to fall back on. You have made them feel like a beginner again. That is one of the most powerful things one person can do to another, and you accomplished it simply by being whole. The trusted friend, being wise, identifies the thing that has been hovering over everything without fully landing, what is actually in the way, not emotionally, what is the practical obstacle, and what gets named next has been sitting underneath the entire conversation, quiet and heavy. There is a gap between their world and yours. It might be geography, different places, real logistical distance. It might be the difference in where each of you currently is in life. It might be something rooted in background, tradition, or the particular way each of you was shaped by where you come from. Whatever the specific form of it, they feel it. They have been feeling it since they first started paying serious attention to you. The gap has been part of why they have held back. Because the question is not only whether you feel the same way, it is also whether two people this different in some fundamental dimension can actually build something real together. This is where the trusted friend says the thing that reframes everything. Think about every connection you have had with someone exactly like you. Same world, same patterns, same energy. How did those go? Silence. The gap is not the problem. The gap is the point. Something unlocks for them in that moment. They have been looking at the differences between you and themselves as evidence against this working. The friend is pointing out that those differences might be precisely the reason it could. Every time they chose the familiar, someone who fit the existing mold, someone comfortable, the same loop ran. The same dynamics, the same end. You are not the loop, you are the interruption of it. And then the friend asks the question that produces the most honest answer of the entire conversation. What do you think this person actually wants in a connection? Not what they would settle for, what they actually want. This person goes quiet, not from nervousness this time, but from genuine consideration. And what comes out is this: someone real, someone who does not flinch from what this actually is. The friend says simply, then stop flinching. The contradiction lands with full force. This person has been performing low interest around someone they believe would respond to the complete absence of performance. The entire conversation resolves into one clear instruction: be real, or lose the only thing that has ever felt like this. The trusted friend has been patient, has asked the right questions, has held the space for this person to finally hear themselves think out loud, and now the friend goes quiet and simply waits. Into that silence, the truest thing in the entire conversation falls out. I am afraid they do not feel anything. I am afraid I am the only one experiencing this. And if that is true, if I say something and the answer is nothing, I do not just lose the chance, I lose the ability to even exist near them the way I can right now. Right now I can be close to them. That is something, but I could lose even that. This person is not afraid of rejection as an abstract concept. They are afraid of losing access to you, even the quiet, unspoken, nothing has been said yet kind of access. They would rather hold the almost indefinitely than risk the finality of a no. That is the measure of how much this matters to them. People guard things in proportion to what those things are worth to them. And they are guarding this possibility with every careful move, every managed expression, every restrained response, because you are worth being that careful about. The friend does not console them. The friend looks at them directly and says, "You are already all the way in. Staying quiet is not protecting you. It is just postponing what is already real." The only question is whether fear gets to be the reason you walk away from the one thing that has ever made you feel like this. Then the friend asks, "When was the last time someone made you feel exactly like this?" The answer is never. And chosen one. That word carries something specific and layered. This person has had connections before. They have experienced feelings before. But not this particular combination. The awe, the nervousness, the hunger to be a better version of themselves, the fear of losing proximity to something they have not even fully named yet. Not this exact experience, not until you. They have never felt nervous specifically about showing up, not nervous about the outcome, but nervous about themselves, not about whether you will say yes or no, about whether the version of themselves they would bring to you is worthy of what you are. They have never felt the impulse to address something unresolved in their past before presenting themselves to someone new. That urge to want to arrive in front of you, having become something more, is entirely new for them. It is a response that is unique to you and to what you represent. They have never, in the middle of a completely unrelated moment, caught themselves wanting to know who you are on the inside, not to impress or to possess, but to genuinely understand. To know what you think when no one is watching, to know what you find worth caring about. Wanting to know someone is respect, wanting to have someone is appetite. This person is sitting in full respect for who you are before they have even gotten truly close to you. That is the never, that is the full weight of what was revealed. The energy in the conversation changes now. The trusted friend does not let them sit in the fear. That is not what this conversation is for. The truth has been excavated. The real thing has been named. It has been brought into the light. And now the friend pivots. You are going to stop treating this like a move to calculate. You are going to stop waiting until you feel ready, because you will never feel ready for something that actually matters to you. You are going to show up as a real person, not a version, not a character, an actual human being, and you are going to start there. And then comes the line that lands somewhere permanent inside them. Stop letting who you have been be the reason you cannot have what you actually want to become. That lands because it is precise. Their past, the patterns, the old version of themselves, the residue of choices they are not proud of, has been sitting like an uninvited weight over everything. It has been making them feel as though their history disqualifies their future, as though they do not deserve the thing they want because of the person they have been. The friend cuts through that, cleanly, with care, but without softness. The past is not a permanent sentence. The person they have been, slowly, imperfectly becoming through all the hard chapters, is allowed to want something real. That evolving person is allowed to reach for something that matches the level they have been working toward. The advice is straightforward. Go be present. Let it be simple at first. Show up as a genuine human being. Let things develop at the pace they develop naturally. Stop projecting a feared ending before anything has had a chance to be written. This person leaves that conversation lighter, not with a plan, not with certainty, but with something they did not have when they arrived. Permission to try, to be real, to show up without the armor, without the script, without performing ease they do not actually feel. They are on their way toward you, chosen one. Not perfectly, not with everything figured out, but they are moving. You have been following what this person feels, what they said, and what they are afraid of. All of that is real and significant, but there is something inside all of it that is entirely about you, and you need to hear it plainly. Every quality that cracked this person open, every specific thing they stumbled over trying to describe to their trusted friend, is something you built. You chose it. You cultivated it. You maintained it, even when it was inconvenient. The independence that left them in awe, you did not receive that as a gift. You built it in seasons when you had no guarantee of what it would eventually produce. You made decisions from your values when the easier path would have been to make them from fear or from other people's expectations. The composure they cannot stop thinking about. That did not appear from nowhere. It came from the times you chose not to react when a reaction was exactly what everyone around you expected. It came from the times you held your standard when the environment was pressuring you to drop it quietly and without a fuss. The clarity they find so compelling, the directness, the absence of games, the way you communicate without needing anyone to decode you, that reflects a decision you made about who you are. You decided at some point that you would not play the games. You likely made that decision after experiencing enough of them to understand what they cost you. You built all of this, and here is what you need to understand with complete clarity. You have never been waiting to be chosen. You have been doing the choosing this entire time. Every standard you kept, every moment you refused to shrink to fit a space that was too small for you, every time you showed up fully as yourself rather than as a more manageable, less threatening version of yourself, that was a declaration. That was a signal sent into the world that said, I know exactly what I am, and I will not pretend otherwise. That signal reached someone. It found them. It moved through every layer of armor they had been maintaining and landed somewhere they were not prepared to defend. You are not a supporting character in what is unfolding here. You are the gravitational force around which the entire situation is orbiting. Own that. Not with arrogance, but with the settled, quiet confidence of someone who finally understands the full weight of their own presence. Let's name the forces working against this, because there are real obstacles here, and none of them are what either of you might assume. The first obstacle is the echo of old patterns, not the people from the past. They are gone and irrelevant, but the habits those experiences installed, the part of this person that learned to keep feelings rationed, expressions controlled, and vulnerability carefully managed. That conditioned part has been working overtime since you entered their picture. It keeps trying to flatten what they feel into something more manageable. It keeps whispering, treat this casually, do not let it show. You are probably misreading this. It has not succeeded, but it keeps trying. The second obstacle is the comparison trap. This person keeps measuring themselves against the image they have constructed of you, and because that image reads as someone operating at a genuinely elevated level, they keep returning to the question, am I enough for this? What they do not fully see yet is that you are not looking for someone finished. You are looking for someone real, someone honest about the distance between who they are and who they want to be, and genuinely committed to closing it. This person is doing exactly that. The entire conversation they just had with their trusted friend is the living evidence of it. The third obstacle belongs to you, chosen one. It is the armor you wear so effectively that sometimes even you forget it is armor. You are powerful, that is not in question, but power worn as a wall keeps things out indiscriminately. The wrong people and the right people both receive the same signal. Do not approach casually. Some people who belong near you have been standing at the edge of your world, trying to find an entrance. You do not have to dismantle what you have built, but consider making a visible opening, not as a compromise of who you are, but as an expression of the security you carry. The most powerful position is not being impenetrable, it is being genuinely open without being afraid. The fourth obstacle belongs to both of you equally. It is the assumption that the other person already knows how you feel. This person is assuming your composure signals indifference. They have built an entire architecture of restraint on the foundation of that assumption. And you may be doing something similar in reverse, sensing a pull, feeling something real, and then talking yourself out of it because you cannot point to undeniable proof. Two people, both feeling something genuine, both assuming the other person does not. That specific dynamic is the only thing standing between what currently is and what this could become. And the conversation this person just had, saying the true thing out loud to someone they trust, is the first real crack in that assumption. This is not a guaranteed outcome. You need to sit with that honestly. Connections like this, rare, genuinely transformative, the kind that shake a person loose from their own patterns, they still require someone to move. Feeling something is not enough. Sensing something is not enough. Even sitting with a trusted friend and finally saying the true thing out loud is not enough unless it eventually becomes visible action. If this person retreats back into managed distance after everything they just admitted, if the courage from that conversation fades and the old habit of controlled neutrality wins, the window of possibility will gradually drift, not dramatically. These things do not evaporate overnight. But slowly, the possibility that lives in the current closeness will flatten into just closeness. The feeling will eventually get filed under, it was not the right time, and they will move forward carrying the echo of you for longer than they would ever admit to anyone. And if you stay fully armored, if you continue to radiate that unreadable, composed, sovereign energy without a single visible crack of genuine availability, then someone who has never felt this before will eventually read the silence as an answer, not because you said no, because they could not find any evidence of a yes. Both of you staying silent is the only version of this where nothing happens. You do not need to chase anyone. Chasing compromises your position. What you need to do is allow yourself to be seen. There is a real and significant difference between those two things. Chasing is what people do when they are afraid. Being seen is what people do when they trust that who they are is already more than enough. You are not someone who needs to chase, but you are someone who can let the warmth that lives inside the sovereignty become briefly, genuinely visible. One real moment, one response that is not managed within an inch of its life, one instance of being humanly present with someone who has been telling their most trusted person that you have altered what they thought was possible for themselves. Let them see that you are actually here. That is all the invitation this needs. Let me ask you something directly. Why did you find this message? What were you looking for when it found you? You already knew something was happening. You have been feeling it, the pull, the sense of something building just outside your line of sight, the quiet recurring awareness that someone's attention is pointed at you in a way that is not casual. You have been picking it up without being able to name it as proof, without being able to say with certainty, this is real, not projected, but you felt it anyway. That capacity, that particular kind of knowing before the evidence arrives, is not wishful thinking, it is a feature of who you are. You are someone who senses what most people walk straight past. You feel the shape of something before it fully forms, and that instinct has been right before, hasn't it? You have trusted it and been led correctly. You have overridden it and later found out your first read was accurate. That is not coincidence. That is a reliable instrument, and it has been telling you something. This person feels it. What you have been sensing from across the space between you is real. The pull is mutual. It is not projection. It is a signal coming from the other direction, imperfect, careful, nervous, from someone who has never had to navigate this quality of feeling before and is genuinely uncertain how to do it without getting it wrong. They sat with their trusted person, they said the true thing, they heard the hard advice, and they left with something new, not certainty, but courage, the quiet, still forming, not completely ready kind, but courage. They are moving in your direction. You do not have to do anything dramatic. You do not have to change anything fundamental about who you are. You simply have to remain fully yourself and stay open enough that when the movement toward you becomes visible, you actually receive it instead of deflecting it behind composure. What they revealed in that conversation was not simply that they have feelings. Feelings are easy to confess in the abstract. What they revealed was specific and exposed. They revealed that you make them want to be someone they are not yet. They revealed that the idea of losing even the quiet, unnamed closeness they currently have with you is more frightening to them than rejection itself. They revealed that they have been paying the kind of close, specific attention to you that only happens when something has stopped being optional. Those are not the words of someone casually interested. Those are the words of someone already changed, and changed people do not unchange. Whether or not what comes next is everything either of you might want it to be, you have already done something that lasts. You have shown this person a version of themselves that is worth becoming. You have made the distance between who they have been and who they want to be feel worth closing. That is what you do, chosen one. Without effort, without strategy, by being fully and unapologetically yourself. A decision has been made on the other side of this, not a loud one, not an announced one. The most significant decisions rarely announce themselves. They live in the body before they live in words. They settle in quietly, and what follows them is not a dramatic declaration but a different quality of presence. The decision is this: no more watching from a careful distance, no more letting the past write the terms of the present, no more performing indifference towards something that has become the least indifferent thing in their world. The version of themselves that you seem to call forward, or could call forward if they let you, that version is not a fantasy, it is where they are heading, and the only way to fully arrive there is to start moving as though it is already true. What this looks like in practice is not grand, it is small and specific and worth your attention. It looks like a quality of attention toward you that is different from before, more direct, more willing to be caught, less carefully managed. It looks like a response that runs slightly longer than the moment technically requires, because something in them wants to extend the exchange rather than let it close. It looks like a question aimed at what you actually think or care about, not surface-level conversation, not the weather, because they genuinely want to know. It looks like genuine laughter, the kind that escapes before it can be composed back into neutral. It looks like the mention of something that only makes sense if they have been paying far more attention to your world than a passing acquaintance would. These are small signals, but with someone this guarded, this deliberate about not getting it wrong, the small signals are the real ones. The small things are where the truth lives. When someone is too careful to let it live anywhere obvious, watch for them, because they are coming. The power here is not the secret you now hold. The power is the confirmation of what was always already true, that the way you have been living, the way you have been showing up, the way you have refused to be anything other than exactly yourself, that has been the signal all along, not a performance, not a strategy, just you, operating at full charge, being whole. Wholeness is a frequency, and this person caught it. It found them before they were looking. It interrupted the pattern they had been running. It introduced a standard they had never encountered from the inside before. You are the one they have never felt before. You are what breaks the cycle. You are the rare presence, the kind that makes someone sit in honest conversation with the person they trust most and finally admit, I do not know what to do, because I have never in my life felt like this. Own that, not as ego, as fact. Receive what is coming toward you. Let it arrive without you shrinking to make it more comfortable. Let it meet you at the level you are actually at, not the curated, composed, nothing touches me level, but the real level, the one where you also feel things, the one where you also recognize something rare when it appears in your world, the one where you are human enough to want something and powerful enough not to be desperate about it. The magnet does not chase. The magnet does not perform approachability or negotiate its charge downward to seem less intimidating. The magnet simply holds its full power, and what is designed to find it finds it, always. You were chosen before any of this had words. You were chosen the moment you decided to live as yourself fully, without apology, and without waiting for someone else's recognition to make it legitimate. That is when the signal went out. And what you are feeling right now, this confirmation, this settling, this sense of the thing you already suspected finally being named, that is the signal coming back. Stay in your fullness, stay open, stay exactly who you are. This is your season. It was always going to